Hello and welcome to When Will It End? It's a podcast where two sad people who are living during a scary time watch movies, and for a little bit, we think we're the car. We're the car that goes so fast can run away from the problems, can take us out of life struggles and into Mexico briefly. I'm Josh.
I'm Charles.
And we're of course watching the films of the Fast and the Furious saga, and we've arrived at, of course, obviously, if I was to write down these four movies on a piece of paper, you'd be able to organize them into an order so easily. But of course, we saw The Fast and the Furious, we saw Too Fast, Too Furious, we saw Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, and of course, we have now logically arrived at Fast and Furious, which brings back a dead character from the preceding movie and is a sequel to the first movie. Good. We got that out of the way. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
And it immediately kills off-screen a character from the first movie.
We get Han back for a precious short window of time just to set up the movie we just saw, Tokyo Drift.
I need to be better in my game. I couldn't even get one out.
Get one what out?
Let's ejaculate.
I don't. What was the joke?
The joke was that I was so horny for Han that like by the time I even whipped out my dick and started getting it hard, he was already off screen and out of the picture.
But the phrase you said was "get one out," which I don't think people say that.
Well, I say it.
I was just trying to get one out on Han.
No, I didn't want to get it on Han. Just sort of.
I didn't. I said you wanted to get one out on Han, via Han.
I just mean
Han
for
being
Han. Get one out for Han.
Well, I agree with you. It's definitely a real boner tease situation where we're like, ooh, Han's with the gang, Han's with the crew. And of course, we see the crew pretty quickly leaping back into poorly conceived high-speed truck robbery.
Well, a lack of harpoon guns this time, though. Do you think the harpoon technology just was like a little out of date, or do you think just the Dominican Republic doesn't have as many harpoon guns kicking around?
I think anyone who would have rewatched the footage from Fast and the Furious would be like, you know what, the harpoon gun thing makes no sense. It's a bad idea.
Can I do a brief segue into Los Bandoleros?
I have no idea what that is. So
yeah, exactly.
Please.
That's the short. I'm trying to be more completist than you are in this regard.
Oh, right. Charles is doing a little extracurricular stuff, which speaks to his general annoying thing.
Yeah. So I forced you to watch the short film that took place between 1 and 2.
Where we saw Brian go to a hotel with a beautiful woman and escape the cops in his drive down to Miami.
They did a lot of driving over like overlay, whatever
road
that
maps,
is, like double exposure road map stuff. This one was much better.
It's so that we know he's not just driving, but he's driving to a specific place.
Yes, Miami. This was back in LA, right?
I believe so, though it feels like between Panama and Mexico and the Dominican Republic, this is the most Spanish language heavy film so far, which was great. It was nice to sort of get out of
well, if you like that, then you should watch Los Bandoleros, which is almost entirely a Spanish language film.
And what does it add to the Fast and Furious canon that we've encountered so far?
Well, more Han. Han's in it for a lot. It's good. Vin is actually his best. I honestly, I know we sort of get into a disagreement about the importance of Dom Toretto and how good Vin is at carrying that. He's his best, I think, when he's fucking drinking a beer and sort of smirking. And this has a lot of that.
What kind of beer?
Well, in Los Bandoleros, it was actually a nondescript Dominican beer, Dominican Republic beer.
So he's not holding to his staunch Corona.
No, it's very
fandom.
strange. It was
okay,
a little alienating, but I got past it, and because he gave me a loving little smirk and made fun of Han and told him he looked like shit, and I was like, all right, that's the guy I know. That's the guy I know.
And you know he's joking because there's no way Han looked anything less than a fucking tenor.
It's ridiculous. He looks great.
Yeah,
Han looks better than ever. But it was I didn't get to finish it, so I didn't really get to do my entire homework. But so far it was very like low key, almost cinema verite style Furious movie. So. Worth checking out, I think.
Wow. All right. Well, food for thought.
It has a use of the word familia, which I'm going to add to our list. So it does once again create this idea of the family outside of the family. We'll get into that a little later in the episode today, but this adds to that sense almost more than anything else. So I wonder if Vin is really the culprit here and really pushing this idea of family.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of discussion of the idea of family in 2 and in 3. I think the whole emphasis on fucking Sean, is it? The horrible Sean?
They don't say it once in 2.
No, they do in 2. Remember Paul Walker's boss in the... Is that in 1?
No, it's 1. Yeah, well, 2 is completely devoid of family. And
well, no, but like him and Tyrese have like that dynamic. They came up together in Bakersfield.
We're going to get into this now.
Okay.
This can't wait.
I don't know what this is.
For me, these movies are about teamwork.
Oh, this is such a... I hate this.
No, come on, man. This is what we're doing. This is like
It
part of the
doesn't
exploration.
matter. It's the same. It's about community. Can we split the difference and say it's about community?
Josh, you're not embracing the fun of this. We're like watching a franchise and seeing how it changes. This like the word family is what everyone thinks of when the first word they think of when they after Fast and after Furious they think of family. Another F word.
Well, you know,
But my point
I want
is
to get
that-
this joke out before it's too. Okay, go ahead.
No, get the joke out. That's okay.
Okay, so we're talking about the naming convention and the Fs, and it's a good thing they didn't call this Fast and the Furious 4, because I was trying to fast forward my way through some long stretches of this movie.
But for me, like this has been very surprising and exciting for me is realizing that this idea of family really wasn't a part of this franchise at all until much later, and it's interesting to see the way that it's sort of like been spiced through and like really brought it forward, where like they're all about being a team that works well together, and it isn't really until number 5 where the word family is just thrown around. Like,
I don't agree with that.
what do you mean you don't agree with it? It's not even in 2. It's nothing. They don't
But
even
the
talk
whole
about it
point
in
is
3.
that they don't need to like literally spell it out for it to be about family. In this movie, Paul Walker's motivation, he thinks, is to get Braga for his job because he wants to stop his heroin dealer because he's an FBI agent again or something. And at the end of the movie, because he sees that Vin's quest to avenge the off-screen death of Letty, well, we see it in flashes, but he sees that gesture, which is about family, is more important at the end of the day. We see it in Vin's psychic car hallucinations,
so it
which
actually
is pretty cool.
doesn't even happen. We just see.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think that's because she comes back to life, right?
Well, sort of, again, as someone who watched these out of order a long time ago, it's very funny to be like, oh, Letty's dead because I saw her in Fate of the Furious.
Right.
I don't know. I don't entirely agree with you because like Dom and Mia and Brian O'Connor's relationship to them is the whole core of what the best part of this movie is all of the melancholy working through the trauma of the first movie. And that feels like a family unit. He's fucking Mia. Dom is completely shattered by the death of his girlfriend, his love, who is as much as family to him as Mia or Brian, as we see by the end of this movie. So I don't know. I think they put a finger on it really heavily in the infamous Mi Familia Corona toast scene in Fast 5, which I'm so excited about. But no, I think without putting a finger on it, they're showing that Brian he's thrown off the guise of being an undercover cop. This is not about work anymore. He's like, what Vin was doing was pure. He was trying to get revenge on Phoenix and Braga for a pure reason. And I was just doing this for a job. And when it comes down to it, I'm not going to see my friend, my brother, go to jail for whatever allegiance I may have to the FBI. So I don't know. I don't agree with you. I think this is the opposite. I think this is the movie where it really gestates into, this is a family now. So by the end of the movie, when we see yet another ill-conceived high-speed heist, we're like, this movie is all about growing pains to me because and I'm going to reiterate some things that we talked about while watching it, but this was the most generic of the films so far to me in that outside of Letty's death, which is a little bit of beep, a little hot sauce on the old pizza slice there. It's basically like another drug dealer. They got to infiltrate again. They got to race again. None of the racing is that good. None of the plot is not that interesting. What's interesting is the characters maturing and confronting their past mistakes and their past failures and how the impact of their lifestyle on the ones they love. So all of that stuff hit home for me really well. But I think this is like, where do we go from here? And of course, we have the luxury of knowing that they just max it the fuck out in the next movie and bring in the troops. But I found this outside of that emotional stuff, the melancholy of those exchanges.
Been talking a lot. I just want to, before you just keep talking and talking and talking, which is harder to interrupt you when I'm not in the same room as you.
I can really railroad you.
Yeah, you really can. This is
Zoom.
nuts. So I got to just fucking tell you to shut the fuck up because
Hold on, that was like a minute.
Shut up.
You're such a baby.
Wow, we really this sucks. I can see why we were where our old episodes were so heated.
Yeah.
This really is not a good way to record a podcast.
Well, it's like, we were raised, battling our friends on a LAN network in StarCraft. And here we are again, sitting in different rooms just being like, you piece of shit, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, my brother and I used to play this old Mac game called Avatar. Avatar? No, it wasn't called Avatar. You basically played as these weird, like, geometric chickens and shot at each other. If anyone knows what that is, please let me know. I'm sure my brother knows because he's a lunatic.
Every glimpse into your past is one more piece of the puzzle.
But yeah,
and I
we
love
used
it.
to sit. He sat at the folding. We used folding chairs as desks. Did your family do that? We would buy a $2,000 computer in 1998, but then put it on a folding chair, folding
I remember
table.
when we had our first Macintosh, we set it up on the floor somewhere.
Yeah,
Because we were like, what do you do with this thing?
We don't know. You just kicked it. But I think I agree with you. I think my point is really that about the word family is that, yes, it's obviously, I'm just saying, like, the word team, gang, family, like, to us, we all understand what that means. And it really isn't until later that they just, as you said, pinpoint it. And I think that's sort of what I'm calling attention to is like, this is so much looser in these first few. And this is like sort of the moment where we're getting to where it's becoming this thing. It's no longer the first one has basically no plot. The third one basically has no plot. It's like these were very loose things about cars and racing and people working together. And this like 5, 6, 7, 8, like the team is the most important part of it. All these side characters, all these things that are happening. And of course they're going to like really push that. That's all I'm chronicling here. I'm not trying to disagree with you. I'm not trying to say that you're wrong. I'm just
okay. I'm going to cut it now because you've been talking too much now.
Fuck.
I'm going to level it off again.
I'm going to fucking record.
We got to get one of those chess clocks.
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to grab this episode to see who gets more time.
Click. No, I hear what you're saying. This movie feels like the eating your vegetables movie, where we know again in Fast 5. Everyone's at the fucking table.
Yeah.
The whole crew really comes together. And this feels like, okay, there's all this unresolved stuff from the first two movies where, in the first movie, O'Connor falls in love with and betrays Mia and falls in love with and betrays Dom only to let him go. And then that question of why he let him go haunts him in the first and second film. And he talks about it in the second movie. And we finally see that come full circle. We finally see Mia, rightfully tell him off for the conditions under which they met and fell in love. And we sort of like get to that point where we understand from this movie onward, Brian has completely cut off that part of his life. And in this movie, through that formulaic exercise of sort of doing both a direct sequel and kind of a reimagining of the first movie on a deeper emotional level, beyond Vin just talking about watching his father die in a horrible car wreck. I don't know. I think that's the thing. This feels very placeholdery, or sort of like, it feels like a Final Fantasy game where it's like too much cutscenes,
Yeah, dude. I totally agree with that. I've been playing a lot more video games since I've been quarantined. And
aren't they all hentai dating games though?
Not all of them. I'm playing more now.
Oh, okay.
So I have time to play more than just the hentai games.
Nice.
Those are good.
And they're fun. They're fun.
Have you ever played one of those? The stories are great.
It's true.
Articles are really great too. So sorry, that was just like a joke about porno magazines.
It was, but it suggested that there was articles in the hentai dating game.
Right. It was a joke.
Do you leaf through periodicals as like downtime in the game?
Yeah, it's a part of the game.
Wow. You're like, I was playing this Flash hentai game, but I read this article about
really fascinating
girl with the dragon tattoo, and I think I'm going to watch both those movies again.
Not for the podcast.
No, just for fun.
Okay, fine. You can do that for fun.
Thank you.
I already forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah. So the cutscene. Video games have rarely figured out how to tell a story. It's very interesting to have this medium you can tell the story right in the game, and yet they over and over again choose to go cutscene to tell the main story elements. And this does feel like that. It feels like everything that could have been so nuanced and quietly told, because there's so, as you said, so many like small sad moments in this movie are just basically brought to our attention. And I think it might be a little better than one, but it's hard to say because it's like one didn't do anything and this just sort of went overboard.
Well, also coming off of Tokyo Drift, a movie where we fucking despised the main lead and his romantic interest, the visuals of that are so striking. And this feels like a Fast and the Furious movie. And I think with that, let's talk about the first big scene, because there was so much to love and yet so little to comment on in a way. They're stealing gas now.
Right.
From this massive...
If you watched Los Bandoleros, you'd understand why. But as you didn't, I'm not going to tell it to you.
Hold on, no, give me the context. Please, explain to me why the gas heist was afoot. Did they need gas?
That's it. You figured it out. They needed gas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
It's actually pretty good. The two, that song that's in this one? I think it might even be called Los Bandoleros.
It's
like a song that's featured in Fast and Furious. Fuck, these movies are going to be very hard to tell apart.
Yeah, it's not a great name.
The two people that are the actual artists behind that song are the two guys in the truck in the opening scene, and they play the same characters in the short film.
A bit of continuity between the various installments of the ancillary Fast and Furious media productions. That's good to know.
One of them's in jail and has to get broken out of jail, and he's talking about being a gangster and the gangster life and stealing gas because no one has gas.
These are the two Spanish-speaking guys who get very little screen time?
Yes. They're the ones that sort of like bicker in the truck.
Right. So anyways...
Yeah, anyway, they need gas.
They need gas. There's a trucker that's pulling the most gas of all time ever. It's like
and the most iguanas of all time.
Right. So here's the thing about this movie that's so distracting. The best part of the movie is this one truck driver, and then the rest of the movie does not live up to the promise of this one truck driver.
Josh, in terms of remakes / reboots / sequels to one, I would say that's on point because the best part of the first one was also the truck driver.
The trucker uprising subplot was fascinating, and I miss it dearly. So in this movie, the new twist, I complained certainly at the end of one, the sort of ultimate trucker that they're trying to rob. God, one is a dumb movie. The ultimate trucker they're trying to rob,
really
doesn't
bad.
even have a face. We see nothing of him. He's just this literally faceless guy blasting a shotgun at people. And in this movie, they're like, no, we really have to invest in this trucker. And this trucker has got to have a thing. And his thing is iguanas. He has a pet iguana. The little icon at the front of his car is a steel iguana. It's awesome. When he leaps out of the truck before it explodes, he grabs his iguana. It's delightful.
Yeah, it's great. He's all iguana, and it's true. It's like without being too, I don't know. It's just like a beautiful way to characterize a side character. And I just I miss him. I loved him when he was in there. He's had the best gunplay in the movie. He was a real treat, and I'm sorry that I'm never going to get to see him again.
And it underscores a problem with the movie, which is that from the O'Connor's FBI cohort to the new main villain, Braga, played by John Ortiz, who's in a lot of stuff. And I don't know how much I actually like his acting, but his face is very memorable. Everything that's not the iguana trucker feels pretty generic, where we have more gruff FBI guys. No, another, evil drug dealer and his gang of rude men. And it just doesn't have as much, it's weird to me that the trucker with the iguana is the most texture we get in this movie, because everything else is pretty much boilerplate, what we've come to expect from this world. And I was very let down by that.
Oh, here's the thing. It's in every way better than, this is like the franchise curse. It is better than one, I would say, in every way. But because it's the fourth in the series, it's all it is it's just the same. It's just a better version of something we've already gotten. So I think the FBI cops are better than the cops in the first one. I think the truckers are better in this one than the last one. I think the story is better told in this one than the last one. But it's the same thing. We don't really need it, other than maybe to move forward into 5.
Yeah, there's not a lot of surprises, and it's less impressive. And again, I guess at this point, and not to jump around too much, I would probably be asking when will this end if I did not know what was to come. Because at this point, it's okay, it's a little tired. And, I want to see you got to really wow me. And of course, again, we're watching this with the luxury of knowing that indeed we are going to be wowed. And here's a couple things I noticed while watching this movie that blew my mind. One, in the first scene of the movie, they're like, man, we're still doing this? I thought we'd be robbing banks by now. And I'm like, interesting. They rob a bank in 5.
Yeah.
And then when they're done with the race and they're talking about going quiet and going into hiding, Letty's like, I hear Rio's nice this time of year. And I'm like, 5 is a bank robbery set in Rio. How much do they know? That kind of confidence, retroactively, is fucking astonishing. This feels like they knew this was a placeholder movie where they're
what do you mean retroactively? Because they made 5 after 4. So this is something that they just carried from 4 into 5.
I'm saying watching 4 and having seen 5 first, I'm like, oh, they were really dropping these hints in a way that's I'm saying it's more impressive now after the fact.
Oh, I see.
It's they were winking heavily about all this. And I admire that. That's really cool. As far as confidence in a franchise, I think it's cool they were dropping these hints.
Well, I just don't know if these were hints. I think maybe they were bad lines in the screenplay that then when they're writing the 5th one, they're like, where do we set this new one?
I think they plotted this. It vibes me like they plotted this out because plucking those 2 details out of this feels like, I don't know if they're if it came down to that, that's pretty fucking impressive.
All right. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because I just don't really remember. I remember them dragging the thing, and that's about all I remember from 5.
5 has, I would say, this movie. We talked about it as well while watching. We're now getting into gunfights. We're now getting into, there's the action and sort of super soldier spy aspect of this is now coming more into the fore. Though again, in 5, it gets, 5, it has the iconic, I feel like we shouldn't talk about 5 that much, but
Yeah, I don't think we should talk about it.
I'm saying in 5, we get into full, like, it's not like Dom gets into a scuffle. In 5, like, and Vin Diesel are like we really
Yeah,
like.
I'm going to bleep that out.
Don't bleep it out.
I can't talk about it.
No.
Hey, man, if you want to take over
shit.
editing, you cannot bleep it out.
Okay, fine. Do whatever you want. I don't want any more responsibility. Okay, so yes, they're once again robbing a fast-moving truck for gas this time. And again, it's so complicated and stupid, where people are crawling out of cars and leaping onto things and holding tight formations, and they're shocked that the driver responds, and they're like using nitroglycerin to shatter tie. It's I don't know. It's the kind of thing where it's like, I admire that we leap right into these fucking idiots or back to their stupid bullshit all over again. But like, it underscores how dumb this shit is. And it made me so happy that we're moving into something that's more believably stupid. Like a full on, the full on super spy shit feels like, okay, this tone makes more sense because just a simple robbery of this magnitude and complexity is so exhausting to watch.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think Lin, I don't know if he's a very good, director. I think he's a good visual storyteller. I think he really understands. Well, I don't even know. The tunnel sequences sucked in this movie, so I really don't know that him giving his emotional ideas to this franchise are really working when he's trying to do what the first one did. But once, as you said, we move into the dumb bullshit of 5, 6, 7. That's when Lin can or even I guess just 5 and 6, 7 somebody else. But that's when Lin can shine because he's really good at dumb bullshit.
Well, he's also good at, there's a couple really big shots in this that rule. And I think the shot of when the truck comes around the corner and we see that they're on a long, steep straightaway, just straight down this mountain, that was a thrilling visual moment. And that was the closest to the highs of 3, which I think has the best visual storytelling of the first 3 movies, no question. So we get these little tastes of that. But you're right, this movie is hamstrung by 2 sequences in the same setting that are so bad, where they're racing cars through dark CGI tunnels, and it's not very good the first time. And then when the climax takes us back there, I was really taken aback, where it seemed like, again, in 3, the cars slowly drifting through a packed intersection in Tokyo, that aerial shot is exhilarating. And the idea of what if this was happening in a dark, claustrophobic place where nothing looks terribly convincing and the stakes are negated by the lack of space. It none of that worked for me. And those are 2 sequences.
They were long.
They really doubled down on it, and they suck.
Do you think because we don't know anything about cars, maybe someone like a car head or gearhead, we're a couple of busters, Josh?
We, as Dom would certainly call us, a couple of busters.
Yeah, he's you think,
and Phoenix would call us pussies, and then Dom would also call us a pussy.
Yeah, at least he might ram a car into us and then call us pussy. We will never know.
I think we can safely assume that.
Yeah, but maybe because we were not gearheads, we don't Do you think gearheads are whoa, it takes so much skill to drive a car that fast in a tunnel, and it's just that's what's maybe those guys were thinking about when they made this scene.
But the art of visual storytelling is not being this is a hard thing. It's isn't this fucking crazy that they're doing this?
Josh, put your mind in the mind of a gearhead. I know it's hard for you because you're a buster. I'm a buster. We're both busters.
Well, I think the gearheads get plenty of, we get a good gearhead montage in this when fucking Brian and Dom are in their respective shops tuning up those friggin' cars for more friggin' crazy street racing.
But everyone liked that. I'm just saying, maybe the gearheads are really into things that they think are more real.
I don't think, this is not a movie for car people.
I think we're out. I think you're right. I think the car people maybe were in for the first couple.
We can't speak for the car community, Charles. Stay in your lane, to use a car metaphor.
Wait, am I allowed to respond to that?
I'll allow it.
Okay, yeah. It is a good car metaphor, but I think as a storytelling device, it sucked. And realizing that it was foreshadowing to the climax, holy shit. We were so happy to be out of that tunnel the first time. Never send us back into that tunnel. And they did.
Well, we also hate ticking clocks, which this movie has 2 of.
Was it? I think there were
the first
3.
one is we've got 72 hours, and then the one that the FBI agent who's Brian's helpful friend was great. She's great in this movie, and she's like, "Why is there a ticking clock?" And they're like, some bullshit."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, someone for the first time in one of these movies, someone like drew attention to how stupid that plot device is in almost every movie.
But then it's gone, and then they mention it again later, and he's just like, "The clock's over."
Yeah, it's
like, what?
It's stupid. I hate that shit.
I don't even understand where it started and stopped.
But then Gal Gadot, aka Wonder Woman, aka the most woke fucking girl queen of all time.
She invented girl
she's
queens.
like, you have 30 seconds to get through the tunnel. I can't do an Israeli. I can do a good Israeli accent. I can't do hers. She is a very, I don't know. She does sound like a goddess when she talks, to be fair.
I mean, you lived in Israel for a brief moment, correct?
I've been there 5 times. And I was there once for a 4-month stretch. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So,
but she's like, you have 30 seconds to get through the stupid tunnel, and we're like, this is stupid.
This was her first movie.
Really?
Yeah.
She's good in this. If a little, I don't think I totally. I like that she's like soaked for Dom, which makes sense. I like that Vin's like, I'm too sad to fuck. I thought that was a good moment.
Right. Yeah. The charisma of 2 people that can barely talk.
Yeah, they're 2 not good talkers. Like, they sound cool. It's a weird dynamic where they both sound cool when they talk and yet don't sound like they're talking to people.
That's such a good point. Yeah, they have no charisma, no energy. I was actually talking to a friend about Christian Bale. And, like, I think the reason why he's a successful actor is that he has no charisma. And when he really works, it's in movies where he's supposed to be in a place of isolation, alienation. We really liked him in Alien 4, or Alien 4. Jesus.
No.
Terminator 4. And I think it's because, like, he has that moment with his wife where we don't really get to care about it. But then the rest of the movie is him being isolated. And, like, yeah, Vince, Dom, and what's her name? Giselle?
I think Giselle? I don't know. I'll look it up.
They both act like Christian Bale does, but the whole element is, like, we're supposed to believe that one of them is horny and one of them is sad.
And the thing is, just to double back to the Christian Bale point, one of the best moments in franchise history is in The Dark Knight Rises, when Batman, in a very cool sequence, is in a Uzbekistani jail for an hour and a half. And we're like, this is what people want from Batman, is to be in a hole.
It was a ticking clock too, right?
Oh,
like a year-long ticking
We really have
clock.
to do that franchise just so I can have a full meltdown over that movie. But that movie compiles all of the worst tropes of every franchise into one genuinely bloated monstrosity. But yeah, there's such a strange. I like that we're going to bring in Gal Gadot. Like, everyone they keep adding to this is just more fucking over the top in every way. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is the movie. This is the moment where the energy is right. Not even the energy. It's like foreplay to something, bad foreplay to something that I know will eventually get good. And just, like, not even because I've seen them, but, like, I can get this sense that this is the reset button. We're like, all right, we're going to remake 1, basically. But I really like Paul Walker in this. I actually really like this. Is my favorite performance from Vin. I think this is just, like, setting up what I know I'm going to love.
Yeah, but again, it feels like the eating your vegetables part of the franchise. So yes, I'm happy.
I didn't get that. I'm a vegan. All I eat are vegetables.
Dear
what do you
God.
mean by that?
Earlier you said energy, and I'm happy you said that, because in this movie, we see a great fourth wall shattering thing, which is so delightful. But in 2005, I think entirely based on the success of these movies, NOS, the delightful energy that we see pumping through their cars to make them roar, roar, roar and go vroom, 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 is now a delicious energy beverage.
Can I be honest with you, Josh?
Yeah.
That's my favorite energy drink.
Really?
Yeah, grape NOS is my favorite energy drink. It's really the only one that I will drink. Unfortunately, it's very hard to find.
Now, on the Wikipedia page for this, they don't directly attribute its creation to the Fast and the Furious movies, but there's like no universe where it's not, right?
No, I'd never heard of it. I mean, yeah, there's no way it would have been created through any other means.
Yeah, it's got to be. But anyways, in this movie, we finally see an ad for the drink, and then later, the drink itself plays a somewhat essential plot point device, which is delightful. So what was that like for you? Because I know it can be jarring to see like NOS, something that no one knew existed until the Fast and the Furious movies, is now become a product that is being drunk by characters in the films that would not have existed were it not for these films. I found that was way more interesting than anything else in this movie to me.
I loved it. Yeah. I mean, as I've said, it's my favorite energy drink. So even just seeing it on screen is lovely. But I think I think it puts it into its own little world. Even though NOS exists in real life, I think it sort of is something different in their universe. I sort of see this as like a separate universe where NOS is like the bridge.
Well, no, we've talked about this, I think, in the past, but I'm a huge fan of movies where, and this is, of course, maybe the ultimate version of this, where one activity is the single coolest thing of all time. Where, once again, in this movie, we're dragged back to the same stupid, shitty midriff party around cars that sucks. Everyone's like, yeah, it's cool to stand around cars. Attractive women just like hanging out in the vicinity of fucking nerds who like cars. Like, this dumb bullshit. Like, again, in the Now You See Me universe where magicians are the coolest, sexiest things in the world.
Yeah.
And we're in this cosmos where like being a car driver makes you like an immortal justice warrior or the worst, most brutal, violent murderer of all time. There's very little in the middle.
Yeah. And NOS, I think, really cements, like, everyone's using it. Everyone just knows. It's like if Mad Max, everything else was the same, but NOS was just like what everyone had in their cars. For some reason, in this universe, everyone has NOS in their cars.
Did you like when they have to race to impress the drug guy, and they have the annoying GPS thing talking to them the whole time? And at one point, the GPS person goes, "There was 1/4 mile remaining," and they're just setting it up because we fucking know that fucking Dom Toretto lives his goddamn life 1 1/4 mile at a time. I loved that. When you're sipping on a cold NOS, do you feel like you're like living life 1/4 mile at a time?
No, my heart starts racing. I start sweating from my brow. I can't really think straight. But
you're too small to drink energy drinks. That concerns me.
Yeah, I started drinking them once when I was playing video games late with friends, and we used to stay up like all night playing video games. And then one day, my friend, he came over. It's weird. I haven't talked to this guy. We're going to have to take a little break from Fast and Furious to talk about this friend of mine. I need your opinion.
Okay. Hey, we got to get into this. This seems important.
But anyway, to finish the NOS story, he came over. We were going to play video games all night. I forget what happened, but he's like, you know what? I just want to go to bed. And I was like, what the fuck? I already drank this NOS. So I went to bed, and I was just like literally lying in bed for 5 hours. My heart was racing. I couldn't fall asleep.
So are you asking, is that rude? Yeah, that's
no. So
rude.
here's what happened with my friend. We were very close friends. We were close friends in high school. We used to live in the same neighborhood, and he would drive me to school every day because I didn't have a car. As I said, I'm a buster.
Total buster move. You got to have like 8 cars in the fucking garage, my guy.
I didn't own a single car till I was like 25.
That's humiliating.
Yeah. Real buster. I mean, I'm the first to admit it. I'm a buster.
You're a buster. And I have been in a series of car accidents, so I guess that makes me closer slightly to Vin in the gang.
Like literally a buster.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying they're always getting into car scrapes, and so am I. So,
Well, maybe you're a gearhead then. Who knows? It's hard to say. But
I'm a regular gearhead. I know that I have to change my oil once in a while.
That's true. Do you know how to?
You drain something?
Buster.
I've been busted.
Yeah. Do you think we should start a show just called Busters rather than like Myth, but you can see that Myth's been erased out and it's just Busters?
Just people who are not terribly good at a given thing?
Yeah.
That sounds good. That's a good TV.
Let's go talk to National Geographic.
Yeah, watch Busters. They're not good at much.
So anyway, my friend, we were really close. Like he was I would say my best friend. We loved anime. He introduced me to Cowboy Bebop, which remains one of my favorite shows. Hey, maybe he listens to this show. I don't know. I'm friends with his wife on Facebook. I don't think I'm friends with him on Facebook. Anyway, I went to his bachelor party. That's how close I was. I was invited to his wedding, and because I'm an asshole, and my whole life was not going very well, and I was trying to figure out. This is when I was homeless. I was living with a now known to be sex offender, violent, crazy person, tattoo artist,
and prominent flat earther.
I would say maybe the most prominent flat earther in the U.S.
The combination of the tattoos and the sexual menace and the flat earth thing does make him, I think, pretty remarkable. Well, he's been in so much. Running into the fact that you had me meet that man is so surreal to me. The guy that I now see on like great shows like All Gas No Breaks or Vice News and shit. Like, I'm like, I hung out with that guy. And just as a side note, when we were in his tattoo parlor, I saw like a flat earther sign, and I was going to make a crack about it.
No.
And then I didn't.
He made that.
And then later, it turned out that I had dodged quite a bullet, because if I had opened that door, I would have been possibly fucking strangulated by that psycho.
Probably just blown away. He had many guns in that place. I probably should have told you about that too.
Full Whistler style, huh?
Yeah, just shotguns and tubes,
Like
hiding.
rapist conspiracy theory Whistler.
But yeah, anyway, I was like, this is right before I went back to school. I was trying to figure out my life. I was homeless, jobless, living with a terrible person. Well, not living, but like sleeping at the shop of a terrible man. And I just didn't go to his wedding. I didn't say I wasn't going to go. And then he just stopped responding to me, and that was the end of our friendship.
That's a bad story. You know, I once had a friend. We met we met in kind of a strange circumstance, but I was living in the countryside near a city, and the guy who ran the city passed this law that it's, you know, basically anyone magical had to leave the city and live in the swamp that I lived in. And so one of the people who came to the swamp was a donkey, a talking donkey. And I was at first really not into it. He seemed just grating, but I needed some help to go. Basically, I thought I would get the swamp back if I helped the guy at the castle get his girlfriend, who turns out she wasn't his girlfriend, which is a whole other thing. We had to go to a castle, a different castle. There was a dragon there. And over the course of this journey, I did come to know the donkey, and we had a lot of. It turned out we had more in common than we didn't, and we went on to have other scrapes and misadventures. But you know, now I look back on that, and you know, like sometimes things divide us. You know, he liked waffle and parfait, I liked onions. You know, and now we're close. But I do understand that there are times in any relationship when these things are tested.
So what do you think?
You
I mean, that's a very interesting story. Sounds.
Yeah.
It has like some similarities to.
He fucked a dragon. The donkey fucked a dragon.
So you're saying I should fuck a dragon or Seth? Like how should I?
What is the dragon a metaphor for in your story?
There we go. I'll figure that out.
In a way, we've all got a row of tanker trucks full of gasoline we're trying to steal using nitroglycerin and high-speed racing. In a way, we all have a dragon in a castle we want to fuck and make dragon babies that are fucking hybrid creatures that are fucking monstrosities that we're going to raise as our own, you know?
Yeah, we're never going to tell them that they're monstrosities either.
No, you just sort of roll with it, babe. That's life, you know? Life has its slings and arrows. Sometimes the FBI is our friends. Sometimes the FBI is bad guys.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes they say that to Brian in this very movie.
Right.
Sometimes you're a good guy pretending to be a bad guy. Maybe you're a bad guy pretending to be a good guy. Ever thought about that, Brian?
Sometimes the high-speed chases that we chase are the chases for ourselves.
Huh. Can you unpack that for me?
No, I'd rather not. So this movie does have a great foot chase in it. And if longtime listeners know, to borrow a loving term from Letty, who says it a lot in this movie, Papa loves a good foot chase.
She's in this movie for, 6 minutes, and she says Papa 8 times?
35 times. Yeah. She calls Dom Papa, and you're like, okay, that scans. She's being sort of saucy with her partner.
Yeah.
And then someone else talks to her, and she goes, she also drops a Papa on Han, I think. And look, Han is Papa. I'm not fucking arguing that.
Dude, maybe she's right.
Right about what? Han is her father?
No, just that everyone's Papa. Dude, we got Han, we got Vin, we got all these Papas driving with her.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be calling them all Papa too.
That's true. I think they'd ask you to stop.
Yeah, that's true. But Letty,
I don't think they would like that.
They'd like it from Letty.
Sure. Well, it seems like she has a good rapport with the whole team, and it's so sad she dies. But I want to talk about the good foot chase in this movie.
Yeah.
Again, I think this movie had a lot of teases that I was really excited about, and then kind of failed to deliver on most of them. But we get a great Paul Walker foot chase, and I love that we're seeing Paul Walker as an FBI agent in a suit, which I think is the fanciest we've seen this guy over, you know, the 3 movies he's been in at this point. And I loved seeing Paul Walker in a suit. It's like when Chris Hemsworth did the Men in Black movie that nobody saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw it.
How was it?
Not good.
Yeah, it barely exists. It has been forgotten by society.
Which is too bad because it had a good cast, and it just was it's like one of those rare, we've talked before about a bad movie that becomes good because of the cast. This was like a strange scenario where there's a great cast that just didn't work at all.
Can we talk Tessa for a minute?
Tessa?
I like me a Tessa Thompson, and I'm worried that she's going to have trouble breaking out from the Marvel universe.
She's the Men in Black person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Tessa. She's amazing.
She's great. I love Tessa. Let's get her, like, I don't know. The Fast and the Furious, it's like her vibe. She would be great in the Fast and the Furious verse.
She would be great.
Because she's spunky and dynamic, and she could bring that sort of, that swagger that she's so good at.
She's funny.
Right.
But she sells heart.
We should do a Chris Hemsworth miniseries where we just watch all the non-Thor Chris Hemsworth movies. Because he did the Herman Melville movie. And of course,
Whoa.
listeners know I'm from Pittsfield, Massachusetts, which is where Herman Melville lived for a fair amount of time. And there's a historical residence called Arrowhead where he wrote Moby Dick. And it's kind of crazy that they cast a classic Hollywood hunk to play a Pittsfielder who's famous for loving whales so much.
That is true. Have you been to that Arrowhead?
Oh, fuck yeah, a million times. It's a rite of passage, babe. I'll take you. Once the nightmare quarantine is over and the fear of death stops gripping all of us in our sleep at night, you can come out to visit and I'll take you to Herman Melville's house. And I'll say, this is the guy who would later be played by Chris Hemsworth. His house.
That's what he's most known for.
Well, at this point, to these tweens.
Yeah.
These tweens on TikTok.
I started.
God, they haven't read Moby Dick.
I realized I hadn't read a book since I've been quarantined, basically, and I haven't really read any books this year. So I was like, yeah, maybe I should start reading a book now that I just have nothing to do.
It's hard.
Yeah,
no, but it's so difficult. Like, because a good reading sesh, you really got to be like hooked in and locked in. And I've been so panicked and exhausted or caffeinated or whatever, or stoned on drugs that it's been kind of hard to read.
No, I totally agree with you. I think reading is hard. I don't think that means that it's better or it's a more fulfilling experience once you get into it. But I can totally see why everyone's like, books are better, man. What are you doing? Rotting your brain on the TV? It's like, I don't know. Fuck reading. I'm done with reading, man. It was my life for a long time, and I'm just done with it.
Well, part of like the thing about a crisis is that we see old cultural forms die away in the face of the now, like the need of the now. And I do like that, maybe the biggest person to get taken down.
Big book.
By freaking COVID-19 is Big Book.
Big Book.
And no, I don't mean Mr. Jeff Bezos.
Wait, why not?
Because he started as basically a book guy.
Yeah, that's true. I remember Amazon.com was a bookstore. I used to work at bookstores.
Speaking of which, I'm trying to find, is there a novel adaptation of Fast and the Furious? And
so that is the one thing I'll read. I'll read that.
There's a coloring book. There's a $6 coloring book.
Okay.
Oh my God, there's a book called Fast and Furious, Fast Meals for the Thrill in You.
What is that?
It looks like it's a cookbook. Susan Gray wrote it. Okay, Fast and Furious is an amazing franchise that has kept us glued to our screens for over a decade with spin-offs, and one of the glues that's kept the series together is family. That's one sentence, and that rules.
And again, family. Not really brought up that much until 5.
So that is why we've put together all 30 amazing, all 30. There's no limit on this, Susan. I don't know what the fuck you mean all 30. All 30 amazing meal recipes that you can make with your family and friends. So rev up your cooking engine, direct quote, because this book will have you going places with the right meal.
Is the first one tuna sandwich with crusts cut off?
It's cum chowder.
Cum chowder's the first? Jesus.
Holy shit. I need to read this to you. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. You can read the book on Amazon. There are not many this is underneath the photo of a crab cake. There are not many experiences that electrifies a person like driving fast cars on super smooth roads. Fuck yeah, Susan. I entirely agree. The speed.
Can we get her on this show as a guest?
You know what? As executive producer, I'm going to take it on as a personal mission.
Thank you.
To get Susan on the show. You're welcome. The speed, the smell of burning asphalt, the nitro boost propelling the car forward at uncommon speeds.
Wow.
The sharp turns, the chase, the close calls, and the tension all inciting the body to produce adrenaline. Very literal. The adrenaline in turn racing through the veins, that's a mirrored bit of figurative writing there, to the heart, and the heart in turn pumping excitement to every part of your body. Well, it's blood, Susan, but anyways, this book seems great. Turbo Meatloaf.
Well, if anyone would like to get that for Josh for his birthday, it's coming up. Nitro
Chicken Carbonara. This is amazing. Crusty cheese on burning asphalt.
We'll be putting a link to this on our Facebook page.
Okay, there's only one last title, recipe title that this, I think you're going to be happy I read this.
Okay.
Pork hobs and chops.
Oh my God, I love it.
This is the best thing I've ever read.
Wow. What a little pandemic will do for the brain. Make you appreciate the small things.
I think no one wrote a review for that book, which feels like a huge loss.
Wow. We should do that.
I know.
I'm vegan though, so it sounds like I can't really eat most of that.
You could probably do a vegan version of Pork Hobbs and Chops.
That's true.
That's brilliant. That's better writing than most of the actual movie.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie it's a strange movie to get back into it, but like I was really into it for the first 20 minutes cuz I'm like, "Oh, this is just like better than the one that we saw before." But then as it goes on, you're just like, "Oh, this is basically just like the one I saw before." And it is. It's a real letdown. And the screenwriting isn't that good. What does he say? Bye, car? Oh, sorry, car?
At one point, we had Paul Walker, before hurtling his car down a ravine, goes, "Sorry, car," which was like the height of the movie. Again, it's just sort of like everyone's so generic where, Campos, a.k.a., as we find out later, Braga, he's just like another bad guy. And then Phoenix is his big heavy. It's just like another bad guy. There's very little that distinguishes this. And the fun of 3, I mean, the Sonny Chiba reveal and Han, and again, even despite a problem this movie does not have of a gaping hole in your lead, it just felt like more fun. And this sort of, again, like all the emotional work they had to get through this chapter made it feel like, filler. So I'm happy we got this out of the way, but oh boy. This honestly might be a little worse than 1, if only because it's just like less exciting or less new.
It's different.
Yeah.
I think this is why rating movies is very hard. We have to figure out we're on the edge. We're no one's doing this, Josh. We're doing work that no one else wants to do.
Yeah, talking about movies in a podcast form. It's truly it feels like, where are we? The bleeding edge?
Yeah, what's
beyond the bleeding edge?
So we have to come up with new terms, new ideas, new concepts, new ways to contextualize art.
Yeah.
Are we up for it?
We've said Buster a lot.
Not sure. I'm going to have to disagree with you. 1, I think, is not a good movie. I've already said this, but like this, whatever 1 tried to do, this did better. So I can never agree that 1 is better than this one. But I sort of like this, the essence of what 1 was trying to do, I think, is better in some ways. I see what you're saying. Like, it was fresh, it was new. It's like, oh, who are these people? We're meeting these people. Here it's like, I don't know. It's sort of like, first one's like a first date that didn't go very well, and this is like, being married for 40 years.
Oh my! Don't get me started. My biggest nightmare is a long, committed, meaningful relationship.
Yeah, it sounds
like
awful.
I come home and I know that I have like support and validation. Dear God,
I know. Like right now, I'm unemployed.
Yeah,
not making any money.
You're what I describe as a drain on the economy.
Yeah, what I wouldn't give to just go home to a shitty apartment with people I don't know and like worry about having to pay the rent. That sounds so exhilarating.
Yeah, that's real, babe. That's life on the fucking. Oh God.
But being in a place where I can share an income and a space with someone I love, and just, oh God,
it's terrible.
Boing.
Who's living a life that I want to lead? A good friend of mine named Dwight.
Oh, good call.
Welcome to Dwight Corner, everybody. The rest of the podcast will be me talking about the best character in this movie. Sorry, iguana truck driver, I loved you, but there's a man who I loved slightly more, and that is the foot fetishist who keeps calling Paul Walker a nutsack and does nothing in the movie other than be used briefly as a plot device while sucking on toes.
So here's the thing: is like what happened? How did he get in this movie? Because I agree, he's like a little bit of spice that this movie doesn't deserve.
Well, I think it's this whole franchise. It's like, they're so dead set on this point, obviously, in this movie on building up this, like, this is another departure point for this. We're going to leap to another stratosphere. So we're going to get through all this emotional stuff. In the margins, they have that room to be fun again. And we get that in the form of Dwight. Again, I love it. First, Dwight's just like another racer guy who's just kind of a dick. And then they're like, he parties with hot babes and sucks their toes and films himself doing it.
Yeah.
He's cool.
He's cool.
What an interesting guy.
He's great.
Then Paul Walker in full narc mode plants a bag of meth on him or whatever, which is stupid. And then at point, Dwight's like, Dwight doesn't do that. Dwight never touched that stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
God, Dwight rules.
And I think that's what I can hope, even though I know it's going to happen, is that energy of a Dwight, of a truck driver, gets actually put into, pumped, much in the same way that Susan was talking about the way that, driving fast makes your brain hurt. It
it's a lot of science talk.
You want to read it
you
again?
down too much. Well, I'm not trying to I don't want to be pedantic. The last thing I want this movie review show to be is pedantic.
Wouldn't dream
I want
of
to be
it.
really clear about that.
Yeah.
No, I think we do a good job keeping it pretty focused on stuff. But no, yes, in her words, I don't want to. I want to just give her credit here.
Wait, what was her name again? What was her name?
Susan Gray, author of Fast and Furious, Fast Meals for the Thrill. ... It's closed off right now. The speed, the smell of burning asphalt, the nitro boost propelling the car forward on uncommon speeds. That could be the title of the book about us, Uncommon Speeds.
Sure. I know. I was actually saying uncommon is a great word choice, Susan. Mwah.
Yeah, they are uncommon. It's hard to argue with. It's
Yeah.
literally speaking 100% accurate. The sharp turns, the chase, the close calls, and the tension all inciting the body to produce adrenaline. The adrenaline in turn racing through the veins to the heart, and the heart in turn pumping excitement to every part of your body.
Okay, so what Susan lovingly, because I could feel the love there, and just like passionately described to you, I'm hoping that the Dwight, the Iguana Man, these elements I hope get pumped in to the franchise itself, not as cursory people that I will miss when they're gone after only being on screen for 2 minutes. I want perhaps a Rock to show up.
Oh, God.
Perhaps a Jason Statham.
I'm so excited.
Ah.
Again, so we're getting to that point in the episode where, I alluded to this earlier. We know what's coming next, and I'm so excited for this next movie. So, of course, I'm not saying when will it end. But in a vacuum, I like to think, objectively speaking, if I wasn't watching this from that perspective, I'd be like, okay, the end course correction of all right, Brian's finally done being a cop. We're going to finally dispense with that entire device. And now he's all in. He's not just letting Dom go. He's freeing Dom himself.
Yeah.
It's a nice gesture towards shaking things up. Because again, the whole Letty dying so abruptly still feels really weird, even if they reverse it later. This movie has a lot of problems. And I think that if I hadn't watched it with love in my heart for what we know comes next, for the latter half of the series, I would be saying when will it end? Because this did not show me anything new. It just doubled down on plot holes from the first movie that were not really fully addressed. And the chases, here's what we haven't fucking said. The chases aren't that good in this. And that's a huge demerit.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're better. So I like this movie more than you did, I think. We weren't sitting together, so I feel like we're going to maybe have a little bit more of our own takes on this. But I liked it. I like this movie a little bit. I agree with you that it doesn't come together in a lot of ways, but I thought that the races and chases were good. They're better than 1, and I think they're better than 2. 3, of course, is the highlight so far in terms of races and chases. Mm-hmm. But no, I think they were great. The racing where there's a little banter between Carr and Brian, but overall it's like he takes a different route. There's a great scene where one of the drivers crashes. He tries to avoid it, but it still falls off the bridge and almost collides into him. He drifts past it. I think it still has that magic.
But you're talking about that one chase where they're like, we're going to chase through LA, and this time, no one's closing the streets. You're just in traffic, motherfucker. There's a cool idea, but I was like, it's the usual thing with one thing different.
Right.
And it feels like they're not moving the ball by yardage, but by inches at this point.
And that's okay. To me, this is obviously a direct sequel to 1. I know it's a sequel in some way. It's a prequel to 3. It's as though 2, I don't even really know. It's after 2.
Yeah.
But it's as though 2 didn't exist. So basically this is a direct sequel to 1. And I think looking at it as a direct sequel to 1, this takes everything that 1 had, makes it better. And I'm going to disagree with you. I think, to me, this is sort of what you were arguing in the first one. To me, coming from 1, 2, 3, now we're at 4, I see this as Brian is making the full choice to become a criminal. I see this as Dom's mad and sad and lonely. I see this as Mia and Brian. All those connections that were not really formulated in the first one are so present here. And I really feel that this is a step forward. This is a very small step forward for this one, but I can feel the energy. I'm ready. I think I'm not asking when will it end.
I hear you.
And not just because I know, because I'm not even sure I really like 5. We're going to find out.
I pray it stands the test of time, because I've seen that movie a few times and I really love watching it. But look, I hear what you're saying. I guess what we're saying is this is the acceleration moment.
Right.
And I get that.
So this is the downshift. We're still going 40 miles an hour.
I love all the
This is
car
the downshift
talking.
moment. Dude, you can't call me a fucking buster no more.
Vroom, 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 vroom. Emergency brake, shifting, windshield wiper.
So yeah, no, this is, for me, this is really when I'm getting buckled up. I can feel it getting ready to boost into to lower gear to go faster.
Let me just read something. We're getting towards the end of the episode. I want to just read something that I think is going to sum up the experience that we're all talking about.
Wait, don't forget, we have to award MVPs. But anyway, yes, continue.
Whether you are driving the car or you are watching the race live or watching a movie about racing, the thrill is always there. Ain't that how we all feel when we are watching a Fast and Furious movie? We love to watch Dominic Toretto, Letty, Roman, Brian, and the rest of the crew do the impossible with the fastest cars, jumping from one skyscraper to another, skydiving with cars, racing on ice, and simultaneously saving the world from some of the deadliest crimes. But did you ever imagine that making fast meals could give you a similar thrill? That you could do the impossible with your meals? That as you swallow your food and it moves through your gut, it tickles your tongue, your food pipe, and your stomach, like the types of a fast car tickles the surface of the road. Fuck, this is so good. That with each taste, you feel the adrenaline running through your veins with joy, and you hear your heart beating festival drums.
Susan, Oscar. Nomination.
Well, Charles, if you've ever imagined this, but do not have the recipes to bring your imagination to life, we bring this article to fulfill that imagination for you. And if you have never imagined this, not to worry, you do not have to anymore. We are bringing you 30 fast meal recipes that could save you from the deadly crime that is hunger and thrill you immensely as well.
Are you fucking kidding me?
This is the best thing I've ever read.
Wow, this is great. This is better than Fast and Furious.
There's Mia Piccata, the Cheesy Han, Muscles in Miami.
Fuck, I want that Cheesy Han.
At the Shaw of Cheesy Nachos. Wow. Shrimp O'Connor. This is amazing. Okay, so let's turn to MVPs. I think I tipped my hand earlier. I must give Dwight the MVP award. He's fucking sucking on toes in this movie. He's like a full freak. Dwight's like, I fucking party. I don't give a fuck who knows it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great choice. I really admire that choice. I think it's the right choice. For me, I always have a hard time choosing an MVP that like does so little. Like I sort of want to choose the Iguana Man. I sort of want to choose Dwight. But for me, I think I'm going to have to go, I don't know. I think FBI cop, like leader of the FBI. I really liked him. I thought he was really good. He had a little more to do. And the whole cop dynamic with the one cop that hates Paul Walker for some reason, and they get
the guy
fight.
from Boardwalk Empire, who I like a lot.
He was also in Joker.
Joker Man.
He was the Joker Man's cop friend that killed his mama.
Comedy is subjective.
Huh? Is that a line from Joker Man?
Murray.
Well, you're making me laugh, buddy. So you're. So I'm going to give it to that guy. He had a great face. He was like made out of, I don't know, someone that like ripped off plaster from his face. It was really good. He had the right idea of how to be a cop. And I award him the unnamed. I don't know who he was. The guy that played the FBI boss.
Wow. Well, there we have it, and that's our exhaustive coverage of friggin'.
Are we ranking them every episode now during these awful times?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's complicated for me because you make a good point. I just find like if this beats one, it beats one by a little bit. And for me, right now, as far as story and performance, 2 is the best one so far.
Josh, I gotta interrupt. This is the hardest series to rank so far.
It's really hard.
These 4, they're all so different.
Yeah.
And elements from each of them, with probably the exception of 2, are like really bad.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for me. 2 is the clear best so far.
Well, I guess for me, it's like 2 as far as like Roman and Brian as a unit doing shit was so incredibly enjoyable and fun to watch that I just loved it. And in this movie, Brian's relationship to the Torettos is so tortured that we don't really get that kind of camaraderie yet. Like, you know, they're sort of as much against each other as they are not in this movie until the end.
Yeah, that was actually one thing that didn't work was like in the first half, Dom hates Brian for rightfully lying to him and lying to his sister and almost getting him thrown into jail. And then without any explanation, they just decide to be friends. Unless I missed something.
Yeah, it's confusing.
So yeah, I agree with you. This has got sad energy. It doesn't have friend like the two had such great energy between its 2 male leads that there's like that carries you through the whole thing.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe ranking them as like a fool's errand because visually speaking, 3 was the best. Full package 2 is the best, and then 1 and 4 because they're so tied together. It's kind of hard to it's complicated. So I don't know. Maybe ranking him is stupid. It feels like maybe we're all just being a real phoenix right now.
Yeah. Fuck. Well,
AKA a fucking cool guy.
well, I'm gonna go buy me that book.
Yeah, we're going to prepare an exhaustive bit of research on the Fast and the Furious recipe book and get back to you. And remember, everybody, stay inside and don't touch anything because you might die. Right into it. Ready?
All right, Cheto Papo. Yep, I'm all set.
Pre-roll, got some pre-roll going. Pre-roll, got that pre. All right, ready?
We didn't get any pre-roll last time.
Now we're getting some pre-roll. Oh, you're freezing up, bud.
Yeah, you're freezing up too a little bit.
I blame you, though.
Yeah, I mean, I do live with 4 other people.
Yeah. I mean, I live with 3 other people. We keeping score, motherfucker?
Yeah, well, I still win for doing that.
All right. I'm going to scroll back in my text to the beginning of our text exchange. I will say shorter than last time, which feels condemning.
Yeah, you were sort of out for a little bit, it seemed like.
Well, there wasn't that much to comment on for some broad stretches. Okay, hold on for one sec. Okay, like a freaking video game. Okay, taste it so fast. All right. Okay, ready to go when you are.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okie doke. So
here, if you want to go through the text.
Well, not. I can. It doesn't need to be that.
No, I'm just saying, if you want to have the text up, I'll bring up like the Wikipedia page and stuff.
Oh, I've got that too.
Fuck, man, you're good at this.
All right, ready?
Yeah, let's do it.